Well, welcome to It's a Sure Thing with your host, Diane Murray-Clements.
Stayed in braids most of the school year, or not the school year, the summer, excuse me. So we stayed in braids most of the summer. And so when it came down to the school year, my mother had two little girls, or well, we weren't too little because my sister and I are 8 years apart.
Okay.
So we, my mom had to figure out something to make her life easier. I think any woman can relate to not wanting their mother to do their hair. I was tender-headed. It's painful. You're fussing and fighting and
Crying and
hugging
moving.
and crying, and you're just sitting there for hours getting your hair taken out. So at that time, I would say that my mom really wanted to create something that would make her life easier, not really thinking about building a business around it, but really creating a tool that she can use on us. And again, like I said, really just make her life easier, make it comfortable for her, the user who is using the tool itself, comfortable for the person who's getting their hair taken out, so that it's pain-free experience, as well as it really being very time efficient. It takes when you use a braid releaser, you can pretty much cut your time down in half. And we really stand by that because we do have a consumer base that gives us that feedback. So to where we are now, I would say that this was mainly around building a business for my MBA graduating project.
Okay.
So we had to choose like a passion project or choose something that you would like to present to your corporation that you work for. And so I chose to do a passion project, and immediately I felt as though God deposited to do my mother's braid releaser. And it really has been a journey from that day on. So yeah, that's how we got there or got here now. So it's
funny that you talk about your mom and her doing your hair and braiding your hair as a child. I remember when I would sit down and do my daughter's hair, it was always a Saturday afternoon project. It was washing the hair, taking the hair loose, rebraiding her hair, putting the beads in. And at that time, as a young mom, I would figure out, after you kind of get in the groove, you figure that the best time to do it is when they're asleep because they're constantly moving. And like you said, tender-headed, trying to take it loose. You're pulling it. And when you're pulling with the regular tooth combs, you're pulling the hair out. So the kids are really crying. And it's a frustrating point when you're trying to do this, but you're trying to get your child prepared for the whole week. Excuse me. So you don't have to do their hair every single other day.
right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's my mom, and my mom wasn't a hairstylist at all, to say the least. My sister and I, we got our hair braided by she's a friend of the family, been a friend of the family for a very long time, Shayna. Shayna pretty much did everyone's hair in Jersey City.
Oh, wow.
She braided everyone's hair. And so, yeah, we saw Shayna more than anyone. Just stayed in braids, and my sister would braid my hair. So my sister would do her hair as well. So this is not only for parents who actually do their hair, their child's hair, but for parents who might not have the time or who are not stylists or hairstylists, so it's very versatile in that way.
And you know what I also thought about with the braid releaser? I thought it was a great tool, especially for dads. So dads that are doing their young girls' hair and they have bigger fingers and it's hard for them to take the braids out to help mom. I think it's a perfect thing for them because it's easy to maneuver. It feels good. It's not like it's sliding out your hands because when you're dealing with hair, it's greasy. You got
Yeah.
the grease and the conditioner and everything in it. So yeah, I think that's good. So what's your background, Sarah, that got you into this with your mom, that you thought this was a great idea?
Well, I have a very my background is very diverse. I'm a trained fashion designer, but from there, I specifically study knitwear design. And from my knitwear experience, I worked for a knitting manufacturer. And so it, from going to designer to kind of moving more into a technical role, it kind of switches your thought process and your perspective on things. So from there, I've just had my background is in apparel. I have also done styling. I
Okay.
did freelance. I was a Mac makeup artist, freelancer, just as a side hustle. So
Nice.
when it came to the fashion industry, I fully immersed myself in that environment. I ate, breathed, and slept fashion. So it's very interesting, me coming from a fashion background and kind of using that experience more in the hair care space. I think when you think about the hair care industry, a lot of when you are that consumer, it does make things easier. What I will say when it comes to my business background, this was more for me to advance in my education. Education is a huge part in my family. So, I really wanted to find a way where I can learn more about being a leader, being an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur was something that I always wanted to do in some shape or form, either that me being owning my own fashion clothing line. But yeah, this really sparked my interest. When I was doing research, I really had to set aside my biases because, again, as a Black woman who wear braids, I automatically knew what my research would be. Not really knowing that there is so much more to learn about the hair care industry, the different hair types, how women are wearing the braids, how it's protecting their hair, how a lot of women suffer from alopecia, and what is the cause of that. So we had to do all types of research just to get a better understanding of market fit for the Braid Releaser. So I was truly excited coming into researching and building a business plan around this idea with fresh eyes rather than coming in as a Black woman who wear braids.
Absolutely. We lost Miss Green a few minutes ago. She had some technical issues, but she's back. Hi, good morning.
Yeah. Hey, again.
So your daughter was giving me a little background on the Braid Releaser, your invention. So tell me, how did you come up with this idea? Why did you think this was a perfect fit for you, not necessarily knowing that this was going to vamp into something bigger?
Well, my girls would get their hair braided, and we would get their hair braided during certain times of the year, especially like during the summer months, and because they would go to camp. And of course, when they would come back, it would be time for school. And I would have to set aside time just to take out all their braids, because when you get your hair braided, you have over 100 braids. and I know we were once again getting ready for school, in preparation for school. I said, girls, you got to get your braids out, we got to get to the hairdresser, so forth and so on. And one particular evening, I just got truly frustrated. I tried with a bobby pin. That didn't work. I tried with tweezers. That didn't work. I mean, I tried all sorts of things just to unravel those braids. And of course, I did come across something that I'm not going to mention, but I did come across something that helped in taking out the braids. And plus, it was like 1, 2, 3. When I got when I was done with one head, then I said, hey, come on, Sarah or Thea, come on, it's your turn to get the braids out. And it really cut a lot of time. And I also noticed that there was no breakage. I didn't have to unsnarl their hair or anything of that nature. So then I said, wow. I said, now this is 1992. And I'm saying to myself, wow, there's nothing on the market that can literally help take out these braids. And so I thought about it and thought about it. And next thing, a friend of mine knew how to draw, and I explained to them what I wanted it to look like. And then I was able to move that on and actually go to a company that develops prototypes. And I was able to have it, I explained to them, I showed them the sketch, and basically what they did, they resketched the idea and created a prototype from that. And from that prototype, this is what we have today. And prototype so expensive that I couldn't get any more done. I just had this one particular prototype and I used it. It worked. And so therefore, from there, with the help of my daughter, she was able to look at it again, and we had someone else take that idea and create another prototype, and then develop the braid releaser itself.
So, you know, your daughter was talking about when, and you just mentioned it also, when you came up with this idea and when your daughter actually was able to get it to the market, was a large time span in between. And either one of you can answer this question. What do you see with Black businesses from what you've learned in trying to get things to the market different from then to now and access? Was it funding or was it just simple access that was limiting you from getting it out there?
Well, for me, it was funding, and also trying to contact or be in contact with people who could help me develop the idea. And it was very limited. And of course, you know, you meet people along the way and they say, oh, I could help. And then when you make that phone call and say, hey, I need your help, you know, they say, oh, okay, well, we'll have to reschedule, or we have to look at it again, or you need this. And I kept running into roadblocks that enabled me to financially support this idea. And basically everything was limited to banks and ask them about what monies are available for businesses. And then they would say, well, you would have to be in business for so many years before we can lend you the money. And of course, on my teaching salary, it was basically impossible to do. So the braid releaser just sat in silence for a very long time. And my daughter, as she attended school in receiving her master's, she surprised me by telling me that she used the braid releaser as her thesis for her master's class. And from there, we said, hey, maybe this could actually happen.
Absolutely.
And and Sarah then just went forward.
And so it sounds like, Ms. Green, you're the inventor and the brain behind it, and Sarah is the marketing and the business person behind the business. Yes. That's a great combination. Because I've seen you guys have been featured in Essence Magazine, In Style. You've been on Channel 7, ABC News, they've talked about it. So how are the sales and how can people get your product?
Yes, so we have been very consistent and we're very grateful for that. I would say we have a broad audience and our audience are very loyal because they DM us, they tell us, they send us feedback. And this is honestly without even having to ask. And I think that is really important when you have a product and the feedback is consistent and is positive across board. Either if that's from our father consumer, our mothers who are really enjoying using the tool, and even our women who are quarantined at home or watching YouTube on how to braid their hair, and then they inevitably take them out. So we are definitely blessed in that way, and we can be reached at www.thebraidsreleaser.com, and you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at The Braid Releaser.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny when you talk about taking the hair loose. I recall, and Ms. Green, before you jump back in, I was telling your daughter, Saturdays was my day to do my daughter's hair. Saturday afternoon, wash her hair, condition, braid it, or take it down, repeat the next week, repeat the next week. And I found that, like you, I would use all kinds of stuff. I went to using a pen, using my nails. I would get tired. And then if you added extensions onto the hair, I recall even when I've had my hair braided, because I had my hair braided maybe a month ago, I would cut so far up into the braid because I would forget the length of my hair just so I wouldn't have to untangle the braid, because it was like an all-day process. It is very challenging. So I think and I was saying, it's a great tool for men, for dads who are taking care of their daughters and taking their hair loose because they have these big fat fingers. So it makes it easier. And our braids can go anywhere from very tiny, micro tiny, to enormous jumbo braids. So I think it's definitely beneficial. So Ms. Green, so now that you had this product out there, have you been thinking about another products in the hair care world? I don't want you to give up any, I don't want to give out any trade secrets.
No, not really. I think Sarah and I, we have talked about such as maybe different types of hair oils or a shea butter, something in that area, in assisting basically hair growth or less hair breakage, or just working in that area. I have, ideas that I've been throwing in my head besides hair products. But once again, it's trying to find the right fit financially. And I think 2021 is going to really open the doors for more Black women entrepreneurs, because it was really difficult to locate a financial institution, and now it seems that in fact, I was listening to the news just recently, and they were talking about Black women entrepreneurship and financial advice, and institutions that are ready to listen and ready to hear about many of the ideas that we have today. So hopefully that will happen. And of course, I know Sarah probably told you earlier that she was able to meet with people for a GoFundMe, and that really helped in towards the development and the venture of this braid releaser.
Which is really good. Go ahead.
Yeah, so sorry, jump in. So back to the original point, I'm actually loving how vague my mom is about this, because we are working with a Black-owned woman-led lab on additional products.
Oh, wow.
So that's all I'm going to say.
You have to share that lab with me so I can let other people know. It's good to know that
Yes.
someone's out there that looks like us doing it.
Yes, it's
Mhm.
amazing for people who want to get in this space where this is more geared towards Black hair care. This is definitely a great and honestly a blessing on how I met this amazing CEO of this lab. So yes, 2021, we will not be a one product brand. So that's super exciting. I will say this much, there will be 3 additional added products under the Braid Releaser. So there will be 4 products altogether. So super excited about that.
No, that's a good thing, because if you, like your mom says, she's reading and listening to the news, and I've been reading a lot of articles as well in regards to Black hair care. And there's been a lot of legislation that has been happening, even in California, and they've been talking about laws about not discriminating against women and how they do their hair.
Yes, the
So
Crown Act.
I think this is a great opportunity and a needed opportunity for more Black women to come out and start creating products for us, because a lot of the products that are out there on the market now are not made by us. So
Right.
they are filled with a lot of chemicals and stuff that are harsh to our hair,
Right.
that don't help in the growth. They help with breakage and the dryness in our hair. So I think that's really important that we get more people like yourself and your mom out there with hair care products and stuff like that, because we really need it. We really do.
Yes, we do. And I mean, when you think about spending in the Black dollar, we outspend out of any other ethnicity when it comes to hair care, beauty, grooming aids. So I think people quickly realize that Black hair care is a powerhouse,
Mhm.
and I believe in 2025 it will be like a $1.2 trillion
Oh,
business.
yeah.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
when
I
you
mean,
think about the opportunity there.
absolutely. I mean, if you go back and you look at the beginning of the first Black millionaire in the hair care industry and the products that she was making at home and selling, and then you come over to the East Coast and we have another hair care product. I can't think of her name offhand. She's in South Orange, and she created another line of hair care for curly and kinky hair. So there's a lot of different levels of our hair for Black women, and
Yes.
different products that we need to help promote the hair growth and sustainability for our hair that other products just don't provide. I mean, if you want a good holding hairspray, I mean, there's some products you can go out there that'll freeze your hair, but
Right.
they won't necessarily do what we need it to do to keep it moist and nurtured and stuff like that. So I think
Exactly.
that's really important.
It
So,
is, absolutely.
mhm.
And I would say what's so special about the Black community is that we're so diverse. Our hair types are, it's a huge variety of hair types, right? You can't just label it to, we have like the 4C and B, and it just goes far beyond. We
Exactly.
cannot have one product, right, that just caters to all Black hair. It's impossible. And I think that's why there are so many Black hair care markets or products that are coming about, because they realize how diverse and how broad, right, the spectrum is when it comes to our hair.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing with that is, first of all, what is a 4C or 4B? I don't know what that is. I've never figured out, like, what is that supposed to be?
Yeah, you're basing it, you're kind of like looking at your hair, trying to figure out your texture, your curl pattern. And sometimes you're not only one type, you might be a mixture of 2 types. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's very
Exactly.
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know who came up with that, or if that's a hair care thing, but it just, when I think of 4C and 4B, all I think of the hair I use for the extensions or to get
Right.
a weave.
Right, exactly,
I don't
exactly.
think about, and I thought that was in the color scheme. I don't know. So
Yeah, I what also is interesting now is that a lot of Black women, even outside of the Crown Act, a lot of women are really embracing their natural hair. and they're becoming more and more concerned, to your topic about ingredients. They want to know exactly what they're putting in their hair. So I think identifying your hair type is used as an educational mechanism for women and men to get a better understanding of how to maintain their healthy hair and really how to take care of it, right? So I think these are all things that are put in place to help us better understand really, what my hair type is. Does it need moisture? Is it oily? Is it dry? So I think it's helpful when it comes from the educational perspective or standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's important not only for us to know the texture of our hairs and, like you said, the products that are best suited for our hair. Hey, Miss Green, you back again. You keep popping in and out. Miss Green, I'm gonna think you got somebody over there and you having a cocktail on the side or something.
That would be nice. That would be nice.
So, Miss Green, you talked about your background just a little tiny bit. You said you have an educational background. So are you a school teacher? Is that what you do?
Yes, I am.
Okay. How long you been teaching?
Let's say I started in 1972.
Wow. I'm not even going to paste that with my age, but okay, Miss Green.
And however, I did take off about 4 years, to travel with my husband. He was in the military overseas, and, taking time with spending more time with my children at that particular time.
That's nice. That's nice. So your daughter was talking about when you jumped out again about some additional products that you guys are going to be working on. And I was telling her, there's a lot of stuff in the news, like you said, and as well as some legislation that talks about hair care and more so about what is discrimination when it comes to Black women and our hair and Black men on how we decide to style our hair and stuff like that. So that you are jumping into this hair care world is very important because there are very few people that look like us that actually develop the products that we use. If you go into beauty supply stores, we don't own them. The majority of the beauty supply stores are owned by other communities. And if people really understood or researched the background as to how that happened, and when you talked about, Miss Green, how money wasn't available for you in the 90s, at the same time when it was not available for you, there were grants and stuff that were put out by the federal government for other country people outside of our country to come in and get money to start businesses. So while we were here, we were unable to get the money. They were giving the federal money out to other people to come in to start businesses in our communities that we actually service now. And we buy products from these businesses that don't look like us, and they don't provide all the best products for us. And I think that's also a little bit of, we don't have enough people like you guys out there. And I applaud you guys for jumping out into this big wilderness of hair care. Because like you said, it's about to be $1 trillion business.
Yeah.
Women spend so much money on hair and beauty, hair extensions, getting our hair, all different types of styles. And if anybody's ever listening and you've ever dated or wanted to date a Black woman, let me tell you, today my hair is this way, but tomorrow it may be blonde and down to my behind.
Right.
Okay. And the next week is braided and it's up in a updo or a bun.
Right.
So we are very versatile.
And it's true because even though we know about Madam C.J. Walker and how she was able to develop the straightening comb and hair products as well. But I recall, with my mom and my grandmother, they basically made their own hair products. They were able to use all sorts of things. They would get castor oil and mix it with some Vaseline and mix it with some other pomade. And literally, I know when my mother would straighten my hair, I would see her dip her fingers into a jar that had no name on it.
That's right.
And she would do my hair and straighten
Mhm.
it and curl it, and that's how it was.
Absolutely. I remember my mom washing my hair with mayonnaise and eggs and some
Yes,
whatever else she concocted in there. And my
exactly.
hair came out good. And Easter Sunday, my curls was popping.
Exactly.
Right,
I mean,
right.
exactly. I had Shirley Temple curls, and it
Mhm.
would be shiny, and oh my goodness. But we can't get our hair wet, back
Mm-mm.
then.
Right.
And
Mm-mm.
so my mother would, excuse me, would have to go back to the ironing board and
To the
start all
oven again.
over again
Right.
Exactly.
if it was
Right.
raining outside.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know what's interesting about that, and you talk about when your mom did your hair, and my mom, and when Sarah, when your mom did your hair, it was a bonding process that we were doing. It
Yes.
wasn't so much about really styling the hair and everything. It was really a bonding session you had with your child, that we don't have nowadays in many communities. And I
Right.
think the fact that more of us are going towards more natural hairstyles now, and especially with our children, and we're pushing away from the relaxers and the kitty curls and all these other texturizers and stuff, that this will enable us to have more of a bonding with our children as well.
Right.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and create that community that we've kind of lost along the way, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So I know, Ms. Green, you have an appointment that you need to check out and go to. So I just want you guys to, in closing, tell us again, how do they find your product, what your product does, and anything else information you want to give people.
Yeah. So again, please follow us at the Braid Releaser on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can find us on our website, www.thebraidsreleaser.com. And our mission is, as we say, our mission is to conquer the world one braid at a time. And that's exactly what we're doing with educating and promoting a better way, a sustainable way to take down your braids.
Absolutely. And if anybody's wondering what the braid releaser looks like, you could just look over Mrs. Green's shoulder. You don't have to move. They can see it perfectly. And there it is right there.
Okay. I have one. Okay. Oh goodness. We were so busy setting it up, and I do have one. And maybe if Sarah could speak for one more minute, I can go get it.
Okay, run and go get it.
Yeah, so I mean, there's so many things we can talk about in regard to our journey and how we got here. My mom quickly touched on our crowdfunding, and we going through Kickstarter during a pandemic, and then actually transferring over to a more suitable platform, Fund Black Founders, which is owned by a Black woman.
Oh, wow.
When my mom talked about the funding aspect of it in the 90s, the unfortunate and sad reality is that Black founders still struggle to this day on getting funding for their businesses, no matter if it's in the hair care industry, clothing, or tech industry, which is really huge. And a lot of Black founders are emerging from these industries. So it's so important to talk about that founder experience, right? Where nothing has really changed. When you think about, the percentage of what Black founders get, nevertheless, what Black females get when it comes to venture capitalists, it's not even 1%. It's like 0.2%.
Which is terrible.
Which is extremely terrible. So, we no longer want to be seen as a risk. When people see Black businesses or hear about Black businesses, we have to really talk about the legitimacy of our business and prove that we are suitable for the market and that we can have revenue, that we can generate revenue in large numbers. So that's a whole nother topic in and of itself.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll pass it on to my mom, who has the Braid Releaser.
Well, I have the Braid Releaser, And it's, in the design and engineering of it, I wanted to emphasize the fact that, of course, Diane, you mentioned earlier that your fingers literally get tired. And also your fingertips as well could be, there's some people that's allergic to the synthetic hair when you're doing the hair extensions. And so, however, I designed it so that you can rest your fingers in the center of the braid releaser. And also, I have two points, one for micro braids and one for medium or large braids. So you have two ends you could work on. So you can use this end for the micro and use this end for the much larger braid.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's very, very smooth, flexible. Yes. So you don't have to worry about it getting caught up and tangled in your hair.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because you know how with the comb, you have whether you use the small tooth or the big tooth, they're always you're pulling, it's tangling, it's coming out, the kids screaming. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what happens with the comb. So like if you're trying to unlock one part of the braid, the comb attaches itself to like 3 or 4 other locks. And so when you're trying to pull it out, it's that's when it snags, and that's when you start losing. You have breakage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you guys have created something fabulous for our community, and I appreciate you and I applaud you guys. And happy Black History Month, even though I wasn't even planning on, celebrating it in any particular way, because I tell people Black history is every day. We don't have to wait for any particular day or month. It's every day. And you guys have done a great job, and I truly appreciate your contribution to our community. Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Ms. Green.
Thank you, Diane, for having us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. And so when you guys become ultra millionaires, just remember me, okay?
Oh, yes.
You got it.
Yes. I hope,
because I know it's coming.
Yeah, we're getting there.
All right, you guys have a great day.
At a time.
Absolutely, one braid at a time.
That's right.
So for those who want to buy the braid releaser for a friend, a family member, or for yourself, is www.thebraidreleaser.com, and it's braids with an S in it, correct?
Yes, braids with an S, yes. And when you subscribe to our website as a first customer, you get 20% off.
Okay, cool. I'm ordering mine. I know somebody in New Jersey I can get it from, but I'm going to order mine direct through you, through the company, so I can be registered with your information. You'll have my information. Awesome. So have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Sarah, it's still early. You can still maybe get a nap in.
Oh, no, I'm up. I'm going to enjoy this beautiful California weather and look at the view outside.
Oh, well, good for you, because here on the East Coast, it's raining, and it's a bit... It looks chilly outside. I'm not quite sure, but it's definitely, it's drizzling. So have a great day, ladies. Take care. Be blessed. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to It's a Sure Thing, sponsored by DLM Insurance, with your host, Diane Murray-Clements. Join us again. Subscribe and follow us on YouTube and Instagram.